What's up, everybody? Welcome into the post-game show, Altitude Sports Radio 92.5. What a game between the Nuggets and the Philadelphia 76ers. 137 to 134 is the final in Philly tonight. Lots to get into here on the post-game show. As always, feel free to comment, and I will try to get to as many of those as I can. I do have a question, and I sort of posed this on my Twitter account tonight at DanTanner091. I basically said, look, here's the deal, and I've been talking about this a lot this year. If the Nuggets get this version of Jamal Murray, the one we saw tonight, they can absolutely win a championship this year if they get this version consistently. But that's the key, okay? That is the key for the Nuggets is, can they get this version consistently, specifically, from now until June, hopefully? I really do think that Jamal is such an X factor. I mean, he is the X factor on the Nuggets. If they can get even close to what we saw from Jamal Murray tonight, that really is the key for this Nuggets team. Because when he's playing like this, they're as good as anybody in the NBA. And I think that's why early on this season, a lot of Nuggets fans were so frustrated because they understand that they're in the Nikola Jokic window, okay? We probably, I will say probably, it's a high likelihood, and I hope I'm wrong about this, but it's a high likelihood that we're never going to see a player like Nikola Jokic with the Denver Nuggets in most of our lifetimes, okay? If there's some younger folks watching, I don't want to throw you in that bus necessarily, but I'm 33 years old. And I just, I think most Nuggets fans understand just how rare it is to be seeing what we're seeing with Nikola Jokic donning a Denver Nuggets uniform. We've never seen it in the team's history, and it's been 50 plus years now of Denver Nuggets basketball. So I think, and it's understandable why so many Nuggets fans were frustrated, specifically at the beginning of the season, more frustrated recently just because they've been on a losing streak and their defense has been porous, which again, we'll get into that because it wasn't good tonight. It was good enough, but it wasn't that good tonight. But man, at the beginning of the year, I understood the frustration. I was frustrated. I mean, think about it. You signed Jamal to a big contract extension over the offseason. That's their big play. And I don't blame the Nuggets brass for doing that. I mean, this dude helped his team win a championship. He's 27 years old. He should be, and I've said this so many times this year, but I'm going to keep saying it because I think it's true. These next 5 years for Jamal Murray, theoretically, should be the best 5 years of his career. Okay? Like in his physical prime, he knows the game inside and out. He's been in the NBA for damn near a decade now. Like these are the 5 years where Jamal Murray should be at the height of his powers. So it is really encouraging to see a performance from Jamal Murray tonight. I thought he was the best player on the Nuggets tonight. I really did. And Nikola was their best player in the final 6 minutes of this game. There's no question about that. I mean, they don't win this game without Joker hitting that massive three-pointer with 39 seconds to go. I mean, ultra clutch from Joker there. That really, really quieted the crowd there in Philadelphia. And then he gets a two-pointer with 12.7 seconds to go to put them up 135 to 132. And essentially, but this was just an absolutely excellent win from the Nuggets tonight. And Nikola down the stretch was outstanding. He was pretty passive for the most part early on in this game. It was one of those games where Nikola, you could kind of feel that at the beginning of this game, he'll have these games probably, I would say at least 50% of the time where he's really not looking to be a scorer, especially to start the games in first halves. He's trying to get his teammates involved. And I thought that's exactly what he was doing tonight. I mean, to the point where, you've got Michael Porter Jr. Well, let's talk about him for a second. Wow. What a game from MPJ. He was 10 of 14 from the field. Okay? Why is that a big deal? He only took 3 3-pointers and he made 2 of them. But Michael Porter Jr. tonight, holy cow. Was he instructed to get his ass to the rim or what? I mean, he was everywhere around the basket tonight. That was amazing to see from Michael. And I have talked about this for years now. Michael Porter Jr., remember you're 6'10, 6'11, whatever the official measurement is. He should be able to do a lot of his work in the painted area. And I know early on in his career, he was sort of settling for the outside jump shot because that was what he was best at coming out of college, coming out of AAU basketball. That's really what he was known for, is his shooting ability. And with good reason. He's an excellent three-point shooter. There's no doubt about it. But this new dimension he's added to his game, specifically this year, I've absolutely loved. And you know what? You can tell when Michael is struggling, he doesn't go to the rim. That's been a theme for this team this year. When Michael's struggling, he's settling for outside jump shots. But tonight's version of Michael Porter Jr., this game for me tonight was very, very encouraging, okay? Because you had your 3 best players all play like your 3 best players. And that's what this Nuggets team needs to do to really compete for a championship this year. They haven't been able to do it consistently. That's been the issue for this team. Plus the porous defense, which again was not very good tonight. They were able to outscore their bad defense tonight. That's really why they won this game. But man, the game from Michael tonight, from Jamal Murray, and from Nikola Jokic was absolutely outstanding. You had 31 points from Jamal, 12 of 22 from the field, 28 from Jokic, 11 for 16, and 24 from MPJ, 10 of 14 shooting. That's excellent stuff right there. And you know what? The way this team is built, the way that the salary cap has constrained this roster, this has to be the formula, okay? There's no other way around it. This has to be the formula for this team to have success, okay? So, yes, tonight's encouraging, but another theme of mine all year with this team has been consistency. And that's really, I would love to see like even a 2-week stretch where you have Michael Porter Jr., Nikola Jokic, and Jamal Murray all firing on all cylinders for a 2-week stretch. Just to show and prove to everyone that they can do it consistently. That's the key. Can they all do it consistently? Now, it just so happens their championship year, they were able to put it together for a month and a half, however long the playoffs were. But seeing those 3 specifically tonight was outstanding. And then, I guess we figured out what the backup 5 is going to be. And it's something I've talked about all season long. Not a huge fan of the plan of having Aaron Gordon playing the backup 5 with the second unit. That's the plan moving forward, everybody. Okay? It just is. And Malone's talked about it. He said, look, that's the formula that won us a championship. I didn't like it last year because these guys were ran into the ground. Now, I will say this year is a little bit of a different scenario because Aaron Gordon has missed 20-plus games already. So there's not the wear and tear on his body as far as games played and mileage on the knees and everything else. There's not nearly as much of that as there was last year. Okay? And even in heading into the playoffs, even if he plays in every game from now until the playoffs, he'll have played in significantly fewer games than he did last year. So that was my biggest concern with Aaron Gordon playing the backup 5. Was it going to run him into the ground? But I got to tell you, looked pretty good tonight, didn't it? And look at the bench production. I mean, holy cow, Christian Braun, 15 points on 6 of 10 shooting. He was excellent tonight. Julian Strawther, tremendous game. 6 of 7 shooting from the field, 4 of 5 from beyond the arc, 18 points. You had 33 points from Christian Braun and Julian Strawther. You had 33 points from your second unit's guards. I mean, that's if they didn't win this game tonight with Jamal, Joker, and MPJ going off in the starting five, and then both of your backup guards giving you 33. I mean, holy cow, that would have been a bad loss. But luckily, they were able to outscore their bad defense. The Malone's, he's going with the 8-man lineup right now. It looks like that's the plan moving forward. And, we'll see how long he continues to do that. I think Malone is feeling some urgency to stack up some wins right now before the All-Star break. And we'll see if he continues with that post All-Star break heading into the playoffs. The reason I ask that is because, again, does Malone learn the lessons from last year? Does he run these guys into the ground? And I think running an 8-man lineup from this point forward until the playoffs is risky because it doomed him last year. And, the problem for Malone right now is really, what do you want him to do? Because I've criticized him playing Zeke Naji at all. I mean, he's not playing Zeke Naji unless it's garbage time this year. DeAndre Jordan, it looks like his run of the backup five has come to an end unless there's something that happens, obviously, injury-wise. But it looks like, for the most part, that run is over. And, I give DJ credit. He is who he is at this point in his career. And honestly, I thought for his role on this team and his age and really what was expected of him coming into this season, he did an okay job as the backup five this year. But it's my whole point the whole time was, yeah, he can do an okay job in the regular season, but that's not going to help this team win a championship. So yeah, I think that's it, man. I really do. I think this is Malone's strategy going forward. Aaron Gordon's going to be the backup five, okay, at the center position with that second unit. And, credit Malone where credit's due. He's tinkered with this second unit a lot this year. In fact, here was the second unit in the to start the second quarter. It was Murray, Aaron Gordon, Julian Strawther, Peyton Watson, and Christian Brown, with AG playing the five. I thought they played pretty damn well to start that second quarter, and it was a really good first half from Jamal Murray. It was a not so good half from the Nuggets defense. Not so good of a second half either. I mean, can somebody get a body in front of Tyrese Maxey? Now, I'll give that guy some credit. He has been on fire lately. This is his, fourth or fifth straight game with over 30 points. So it's not like he's just doing this to the Nuggets. He's been tremendous. And, they were kind of profiling Tyrese Maxey before the game, saying that he's really started to figure out how to play without Joel Embiid, which he's going to have to do because Joel Embiid doesn't really like to play a lot of basketball games, okay? But he has figured it out, and he is a special player. So, give credit where credit's due. But, man, and the Sixers were on a 4-game win streak coming into this game. Nuggets were on a 3-game losing streak. You could tell this one meant a lot to the Denver Nuggets tonight. Malone was very intense on the sidelines throughout the game, more so than usual, because Malone is a very intense dude. And I'm not saying that to criticize Coach Malone. That's just who he is. He's from New York. That's how he is. But you could tell this one really, really meant a lot to this Nuggets team tonight. They really want to end this road trip on a good note, and they can really end it on a good note coming up tomorrow night in Charlotte against a really bad Hornets team. But yeah, this is the plan. We're seeing it. It's all kind of come to everything Coach Malone's been experimenting with and tinkering with throughout the season, as far as the rotations go, who's in the starting lineup, who's out of the starting lineup, who's starting the second quarter with the second unit. Aaron Gordon now playing the backup five versus Dario Saric, who we saw very early on this year. And, DJ for like a 20-plus game stretch. Now, mind you, a lot of that was when Aaron Gordon was out. So that is, one of the main reasons that was happening that many games in a row. But this is the plan. I mean, it's clear. And, this is the best plan available to Michael Malone. Okay? So look, I really do think the Nuggets this year are going to sit there talking about their front office because the trade deadline is less than a week away now. I really do think after a game like tonight, if you're Calvin Booth and you're in the front office and you're with the scouts and everybody else that works for him, you look at this game and you say, that's exactly what we were envisioning with this roster. Those guys we paid, they've got to do what they did tonight. That's why they paid them the big bucks. Now, obviously, Nikola Jokic is going to do that every game because he's the best basketball player on the planet. But Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray are just very inconsistent, wildly inconsistent. But when they're on, this team is damn near unbeatable, even with a bad defense. And again, their defense doesn't have to be top 5 or even top 10 for that matter. I mean, they were the 15th overall ranked defense the year they won the NBA championship. Middle of the pack. But their offense is elite. So their defense doesn't have to be spectacular. It just needs to be competent. Competent enough to get the job done. Competent enough to allow their prolific offense to outscore their bad defense. That's the plan, at least from what it looks like on my end. So, again, give me your thoughts in the comments section. Let's get to some of these now. Got a lot of, well, let's see here. Gerhard, Nuggets winning the chip. Oh, man. I'll tell you what, though. A game like tonight, it gave me a lot more confidence after the 3-game losing streak because of the way the big three played. I can't emphasize that enough. Those guys have to perform. If they play like they did tonight, those three specifically, on a consistent basis, this team can absolutely beat anybody in the playoffs, including Boston, including the Thunder. The key is, can they do it over a long stretch of games? Let's see here. My guy Kevin. Hey, DT, Kev. Appreciate you listening. Great win tonight from Kev. Yeah, excellent win. Let's see here. DJ says, can we trade for Yabu? Yeah, dude, that guy, where the hell did he come from? I mean, my goodness. Gershon Yabusele. He was excellent tonight. In fact, Vic had a tweet earlier, and I didn't realize this, but I guess Yabusele played in the playoffs, or not the playoffs, the Olympics over the summer. Here it is. Vic says, if you watch the Olympics, you knew Yabusele had game. The Sixers signed him right after that Olympic run. I'm not sure who Yabusele played for in the playoffs. I'll have to look that up. But yeah, I mean, look, there was a game here in Denver. What was that, a week and a half, 2 weeks ago? I thought Yabusele was excellent in that game as well. So, I mean, good for him. That was an excellent performance from Yabusele tonight. He is he's going to be a player for the 76ers. So that was really great to see. Let's see here. Getting into some more of your comments. Didn't Jokic get a double-double? Yeah, Jokic got, I think he just missed out on his triple-double, unless I misread this. Yeah, he had 13 assists, 28 points, 9 rebounds. So he got a Sombor double. Man, he's had so many of those. Another note here, Russell Westbrook, if you notice at the end of the game, because I didn't see the report, and I just must have missed it on ESPN, that the Nuggets said Russell Westbrook was questionable to return with left hamstring tightness because Christian Brown was obviously closing the game out. So I'm like, oh, that's interesting. But I got to tell you, the way the Nuggets closed that game out, it was pretty good. Looked pretty good with Christian Brown in there closing it out. So, I've been thinking a lot about this of like, who should go to the bench, who should be in the starting lineup. The Nuggets kind of have a good problem in that sense. Not necessarily at the backup 5, if Aaron Gordon isn't able to continue to stay healthy and be effective in that role. But I tell you what, how nice is it to be able to have Christian Brown, go in and out of the starting lineup and produce either off the bench or in the starting lineup? How nice is it for Malone to have Russell Westbrook, who started the year coming off the bench, obviously was inserted into the starting lineup, the Nuggets sort of take off. But how nice is it for Malone to have Russell Westbrook be a guy that can produce either starting or coming off the bench? I mean, look at Aaron Gordon. You know, he came off the bench for what, 5-6 games when he came back from his calf strain. He was effective off the bench. So I'll say he was more effective off the bench than he has been over the last couple of games in the starting lineup. But, that is a good problem that Malone has. And the fact that, Julian Strawther really, really continues to show that he has taken the next step. I was thinking about this tonight, watching Julian just go off, and my God, does he have the quickest shot I've ever seen from a Nuggets player. I mean, it is on par with Steph Curry. Now, don't mishear what I'm saying. I am not comparing Julian Strawther to Steph Curry, okay? But just from the aspect of how quickly he gets his shot off and how accurate it can be, even when it looks like he has, it gets it off so quick, you're like, there's no way that can be near the rim. He has got a lightning quick release, and he's pretty accurate when he has to do that. So that's been great to see from Julian Strawther. And, I was thinking about this tonight. When the Nuggets get into, the last stretch of this season and they get into the playoffs, if Julian Strawther off the bench can knock down 3 or 4 3-pointers a game, that would be a game changer for this Nuggets team. 3 or 4 3-pointers made a game down the stretch into the playoffs from Julian Strawther, whew, that would be a humongous boost off the bench for the Denver Nuggets. I mean, absolutely incredible. Let's see here. My guy TJ says CB, P-Watt, Strawther had a good game. Those three, they didn't just have a good game tonight. They've had a really good season. And those were 3 young guys coming into the season that were extremely important for this basketball team. Because you lose Bruce Brown the year before, because you lost KCP last offseason, with the salary cap restraints that the Nuggets are under right now, you had to get production from those 3 players specifically because they're on cheap rookie contracts. And you couldn't afford to keep the veterans in Bruce Brown and KCP. By the way, I saw somebody say on Twitter, I didn't see this live, but I saw somebody mention on Twitter that apparently Kendrick Perkins, residential favorite of Nuggets fans, I know, Kendrick Perkins was saying that the Nuggets haven't gotten what they were hoping for out of Christian Braun this year. What? I've been saying this all season. The Nuggets have gotten more out of Christian Braun this year than I could have ever have hoped. And, my guy KJ and I have kind of gone back and forth on this. But I stand by this. Overall, on both ends of the floor, I think Christian Braun's been better this year than KCP was as a Nugget, as his time here in Denver. And again, that's not a slight against Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. He was excellent. Excellent perimeter defender, excellent 3-point shooter, excellent leader in the locker room. Really, really good dude overall. Just as a person, how he treats the media, family man, love KCP. But as far as on-court production goes, my God, Christian Braun has been more than the Nuggets were hoping for this year, I'm sure. I mean, he's in his 3rd year. He gets inserted into the starting lineup for the first time in his NBA life. The first 2 seasons of his career, he was known for being a really good defender, really good in transition, and a very inconsistent 3-point shooter. Well, he's starting to knock down his 3-ball a lot more consistently, especially those corner threes. I mean, those corner threes are there whenever he wants them. And Jokic seems to always find him in the corner. And he's playing excellent defense. So, KJ did mention there's some little things on the defensive end he still needs to get better at, like anticipation, getting his hands into passing lanes. That's where KCP, and I did agree with him, did a better job on the defensive end. But as a one-on-one defender, able to guard multiple positions, able to get out in transition and make athletic plays on the run, what more could you ask for out of Christian Braun so far this year? I think he's been phenomenal. And the good news for Nuggets fans and for Christian and for the team is he's only going to get better. Like there is still a lot of growth there from Christian Braun. Mostly for me, it's he can get more consistent in his outside shooting, and not just a three ball, like mid range. Um, his release for me is still a tick too slow, but man, I mean, there's not a whole lot that you can criticize with Christian Braun this year. So for Kendrick Perkins to say that is just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, the first thing that popped into my head was like, oh, he doesn't watch any Nuggets games. Talking about Kendrick Perkins. I mean, seriously, if you're going to go on national television and say a dumbass statement like that, you're just telling everybody that watches the Nuggets on a consistent basis, oh, you only watch the Nuggets when they're on ESPN, obviously, because that's just simply ridiculous. So, anyways, that was my TED talk because when I see stuff like that, I'm kind of a hypocrite in that way because I always tell people like, who cares what the national media says? It doesn't matter. And I still do believe that. But my goodness, it's just like when you're making a statement that proves that you don't watch the stuff you're talking about, that's what drives me nuts. So I think that's what kind of set me a little bit over the edge tonight. All right, I've got about a minute here of Nuggets head coach Michael Malone. Let's hear from him in Philly after the game.
Coach, take us inside your mindset and what you guys were trying to accomplish in that final minute of the game.
Win the game. That's what we were trying to accomplish. It's just finding a way to end this 3-game losing streak. As I told our team, they won't always be pretty. It wasn't a pretty game. 19 more turnovers for 30 points. Too many made threes for them. But in the fourth quarter, we got enough stops. We executed down the stretch. Nikola made some big shots. Jamal, obviously, all game long. Michael made a big play. So it just feels good to have a win.
You also had 39 assists despite the turnovers. How did you see your team sharing the basketball?
Yeah, I mean, that's who we've always been. I mean, a ball movement, body movement team, very unselfish team. You get 2 on the ball, you've done your job, get off it in a timely manner, and everybody's looking to make a play for their teammate. And that's why I just hit him with. I said 39 assists is outstanding, but can we get the 19 for 30 off turnovers down because it continues to be a huge issue for us. But I'd rather clean up after an ugly win than a tough loss.
Okay, there he is, Nuggets head coach Michael Malone after the victory in Philly. Really excellent point there from Malone. And, this is stuff we've heard Coach Malone say. I've at least heard him say this at least 100 times in my tenure covering this Denver Nuggets basketball team. It's with Malone, it's not always just about the turnovers. It's about how many points are we giving up on those turnovers or off of those turnovers. And you just heard him there, tonight, 19 turnovers, not great, but 30 points off those. I remember Malone saying it was a year or two ago, the goal for this team is to try to limit teams to 15 points or less off of turnovers. And tonight it was 30. So clearly that's something where Malone's like, yeah, this is just not going to work as far as this working consistently for the team to win basketball games. But, again, the theme of tonight's game was if you're going to have Michael Porter Jr. shoot 10 of 14 from the field, score 24 points, if you're going to have Nikola Jokic be super efficient from the field, 11 for 16. By the way, him and MPJ were both 2 for 3 from beyond the arc. 28 points for Joker. And you're going to have Jamal, 12 of 22, 31 points. Jamal missed a few shots down the stretch. He was actually even more efficient, I would say, through the first 3 quarters, closer to what MPJ and Nikola were tonight. But if you're going to have those 3 guys go off and you're going to get 33 points from both of your backup guards, you got to win those games. And the turnovers and the points off turnovers nearly cost the Nuggets this basketball game tonight. But the good news for them is, like Malone said, it's a lot easier to talk about this and clean this stuff up after a win. So, great stuff from the Nuggets tonight. This is what the Denver Nuggets are supposed to look like, at least on the offensive end. This is how this team is built. Okay? Michael Porter, Nikola, Jamal Murray. Those have to be your 3 best players. There's no doubt about that. And I'll throw Aaron Gordon in there with a little bit of an asterisk because he's been so in and out of the lineup this year, dealing with nagging injuries. I think Gordon is just as important as MPJ and Jamal are, just sort of in a different way. Gordon is that guy that can bully you in the low post. He's always going to be in that dunker position, cutting to the rim. He's going to be that guy on the defensive end of the floor that is your Swiss Army knife. He can guard Steph Curry, or he can guard Kevin Durant, or he can guard LeBron or Anthony Davis. That's where Aaron Gordon to me is most valuable. So when I say MPJ, Joker, and Murray are your three most, like production wise, you have to get the most offensive production from those three guys in order for this team, in my opinion, to have as much success as they possibly can. It really is those three guys. And then everything else kind of falls in line after that. But excellent win from the Nuggets tonight, 137 to 134. Let's take a peek here at the Avs score. I saw they were up 4-0 at the end of the first period here in Denver against the St. Louis Blues. They're at the end of the second, still 4-0. So good stuff from the Avs tonight as well. Two goals from Jonathan Drouin. Martin Necas has his first goal as an Av. Good to see. And Cale Makar gets his 19th of the season on the power play. So great stuff from the Avs. You could tell I was watching sporadically while I had the Nuggets game on. I was peeking at the Avs game, and I got to tell you, that looked like a team that was super pissed after that horrendous road trip that they just got back from, and it really looked like that tonight. So, I'm so glad you mentioned this. My guy Kev, appreciate this. We got to mention this. What did you think of Jamal's afro, DT? Keep or go? I mean, based off his performance tonight, like, you got to keep it, don't you? You got to keep it. Man, that thing, here was my idea. Remember Aaron Gordon's fro when he first got here? And he would rock it in Orlando as well. I want to see the dual giant puffy fros simultaneously from Aaron Gordon and Jamal Murray. That would be awesome. But yeah, no, I'm with you. You got to keep the fro, especially after the performance today. I didn't realize Jamal's hair had grown that much over the season. I mean, it was getting there throughout the season, but like tonight, it's just all of a sudden, it's just like, it was, man, some luscious locks there from Jamal Murray tonight. And hey, it worked for him. So keep it going. We always talk about the Joker haircut game has been kind of a running theme over the years with Nikola Jokic. Whenever he gets a fresh buzz cut, he seems to go off. Well, maybe that's the new one, Jamal Murray's afro, and that really got him going this year. So I'm glad you brought that up, Kev. Appreciate that. Yeah, that was really cool to see tonight, and I love the fros in basketball. It's amazing stuff. So good stuff. That's going to do it for the post-game show tonight. Again, the Blues and Avs just got to the end of the second period. They're at Ball Arena, so in about an hour or so, right here on all these digital platforms, you'll have Alex Ranemi and Mark Springer to give you all of your Colorado Avalanche post-game thoughts and reactions. So excellent win for the Nuggets tonight. We'll see if the Avs can cap off the Nuggalanche and get 2 victories for our beloved city, and away we go. And again, lastly, not a great road trip for the Nuggets, but I tell you what, if they can get a win tomorrow in Charlotte against a bad Hornets team, you'll take that. This team will take that. I mean, you go 2-3 on a really tough East Coast road trip. You had one of your worst losses of the season in Chicago. You had a good showing against the New York Knicks, just couldn't pull it out. But if they can get this win tomorrow night in Charlotte, that they're going to feel pretty good coming home on that plane ride. And then you've got 2 games in a row against a bad Pelicans team coming up here at Ball Arena, and then you've got the Orlando Magic. A lot of home games coming up after this 5-game road trip for the Nuggets. So excellent stuff. That's it for the post-game show tonight. Really appreciate everybody tuning in, and we'll talk to you tomorrow night right here on Altitude Sports Radio.